biblical tales. God floods the earth, sparing Noah, his family, and 2 of every animal on board his ark.
Now, an international team of researchers have found new evidence that a famous formation in Turkey could be the site of the ancient.
What if one of the oldest stories ever told wasn't just a tale, but a record etched into the very earth? In the remote mountains of eastern Turkey, under the shadow of Mount Ararat, a quiet valley hides a secret that has baffled explorers, scientists, and believers for decades. Here lies the Durupinar Formation, a massive, boat-shaped mound stretching over 538 feet, an uncanny resemblance to the biblical dimensions of Noah's Ark. The first person to notice its unusual shape wasn't a scientist or historian. It was a Turkish army captain in the 1950s, flying high above the rugged terrain. From his vantage point, the contours of the formation appeared unmistakably ship-like, as if time itself had preserved a vessel from an age long forgotten. Word of the discovery spread quickly. Local villagers, curious and cautious, came to see the strange mound that had seemingly appeared out of nowhere. By the 1960s, international attention followed. BBC crews arrived to capture footage, and National Geographic photographers trudged through the harsh slopes to photograph its enigmatic silhouette. The formation's size and shape mirrored the biblical ark with such precision that even skeptics found themselves staring in disbelief. Was this a coincidence of nature, or had a hand long gone shaped the mound into something extraordinary? For years, the Durupinar Formation remained a tantalizing mystery. Scientists and adventurers alike speculated, debated, and measured, but definitive answers were elusive. The local terrain, rugged and remote, protected the mound from casual interference, allowing it to preserve its secrets for decades. Some saw it as a natural quirk of geology, molded by millennia of mudflows and erosion. Others whispered of an ancient vessel buried beneath layers of soil, its story hidden from human eyes, but written in the contours of the land. What made the formation truly compelling wasn't just its shape, it was the questions it raised. Why here, at the foot of Mount Ararat, in a valley untouched by time? Why did the proportions so closely match an account from thousands of years ago? And could this silent, earthen shape be the remnant of a world-altering event that had been recorded only in myth and scripture? The mystery beckoned, drawing researchers from Turkey and beyond, each eager to see whether technology could finally answer a question that had haunted humanity for generations. Decades later, curiosity evolved into determination. What had once been a story of speculation was now poised for scientific inquiry. But to understand the magnitude of what lay beneath, one had to look deeper, not just at the mound itself, but at what modern technology might reveal about its hidden interior. And what researchers would find inside would challenge everything people thought they knew about myth, history, and the delicate line between them. Once the Durupinar Formation caught the world's eye, researchers began to approach it not just with curiosity, but with scientific rigor. Among the earliest dedicated explorers was Professor Faruk Kaya from Egri Ibrahim Sesen University, a quiet but passionate man whose fascination with the mound bordered on obsession. Walking across its uneven surface for the first time, he later described it as like treading the spine of a giant creature buried under centuries of earth and time. Every step seemed to echo with history, and every measurement hinted at something far beyond ordinary geology. Kaya and his team started with the basics, mapping the mound's length, width, and height. At 538 feet long, the formation almost perfectly mirrored the biblical 300 cubits described in Genesis. Its width and height, though less precise, suggested a shape unlike any naturally formed hill. Even skeptics found themselves pausing at the uncanny alignment. "We're not saying this is Noah's Ark," Kaya explained in interviews, but the similarities are impossible to ignore. The team also examined the mound's composition. Unlike ordinary soil or rock formations, it was rich in limonite, an iron-heavy mineral, hinting at processes far more complex than a simple mudflow. Was this the result of natural forces, or evidence of a vessel built thousands of years ago, slowly fossilizing beneath layers of sediment? The question hung in the air, unanswered but compelling. Sampling became the next step. Soil cores were extracted, analyzed, and compared with the surrounding landscape. Every result seemed to deepen the mystery. Organic matter appeared in higher concentrations than the normal Earth nearby, raising tantalizing possibilities. Could this be the decayed remnants of ancient wood, once forming the skeleton of a massive ship? Every hint, every anomaly added weight to the growing speculation. Yet skepticism remained. For every curious scientist, there were voices urging caution. Geologists argued that tectonic shifts, erosion, and natural sedimentation could produce eerily symmetrical shapes fooling even the keenest eyes. Still, the mound had a magnetic pull, drawing teams back year after year, each hoping to uncover the truth. By the time modern technology arrived, the foundation was already laid. Detailed measurements, careful sampling, and painstaking observation had established one undeniable fact. The Durupinar formation was extraordinary, not just in its shape, but in its history, composition, and the unanswered questions it left behind. And as scientists prepared to dig deeper, literally and figuratively, they had no idea just how far the evidence would challenge both skepticism and belief. Decades of speculation finally met the precision of modern technology, and what scientists discovered beneath the Durupinar formation would astonish even the most skeptical minds. Ground-penetrating radar, resistivity scanning, and LiDAR were brought to bear, tools capable of seeing through layers of soil and rock without disturbing a single grain. For the first time, the mound could speak, not in legend or guesswork, but in data, patterns, and chemical signatures. Andrew Jones, a researcher who had spent years studying the site, stood beside the humming machines, cautious yet hopeful. "We're not chasing myths," he explained to the Science Channel. "We're letting the Earth tell its story." And the story that emerged was unlike anything expected. The radar revealed linear corridors stretching hundreds of feet, angular compartments arranged with a symmetry rarely seen in nature, and layered features resembling decks. For the first time, the mound wasn't just a vague boat-shaped hill. It was a potential blueprint of something once constructed, deliberate, and immense. Soil samples taken alongside these scans told a parallel story. Inside the mound, levels of organic matter and potassium were far higher than in surrounding soil, suggesting decayed wood or other ancient materials. Even subtle differences in the grass and vegetation above hinted at disturbances beneath the surface, invisible to the naked eye, but detectable through the chemistry of life itself. Every scan, every sample, strengthened the possibility that this was more than a natural formation. Resistivity scans added another layer of revelation. Electrical currents mapped variations in soil density, uncovering what appeared to be massive ribs carving deep underground, and 3 distinct decks separated by hallways and landings. The structure mirrored descriptions of Noah's Ark, complete with a central corridor and side compartments. The symmetry, the scale, and the complexity stunned the team. It was one thing to speculate, and another to witness evidence that could support thousands of years of legend. Still, the researchers approached their findings with caution. Nature has a way of mimicking design, and the risk of overinterpretation loomed large. "We're seeing extraordinary patterns," Jones admitted, "but extraordinary claims require extraordinary verification." Even as skepticism lingered, the mound's secrets were becoming harder to deny. The combination of structural anomalies, chemical imprints, and geological evidence suggested a story buried for millennia, waiting for humanity's tools to reveal it. And the implications went beyond science. For believers, the formation hinted at a tangible connection to one of history's oldest stories. For skeptics, it challenged assumptions about the power of natural processes to mimic human design. And for the world watching, it was a reminder that sometimes mysteries lie not in books or legends, but beneath our feet, waiting for those patient enough and equipped enough to see them. Beneath the grassy surface of the Durupinar formation, the earth itself seemed to whisper secrets that no eye could see. Secrets written not in stone, but in chemistry. Scientists began a meticulous examination of the soil, scooping out samples from within the mound and comparing them to the ordinary earth just a few meters away. What they found was astonishing. Nearly 3 times more organic matter inside the formation, alongside potassium levels far higher than anything in the surrounding landscape. Lead researcher Andrew Jones could barely contain his excitement. "These readings suggest decayed wood or other ancient organic materials," he explained, aware that every word carried the weight of centuries. The soil wasn't ordinary. It was a record of life long gone, a chemical memory that hinted at something massive and constructive, hidden beneath layers of earth and time. The pH levels added another layer to the mystery. Where the surrounding soil was neutral, the mound's interior was distinctly acidic, a silent signature of centuries of organic decay. Every measurement, every test pointed to the presence of materials that did not naturally belong to the earth. And as biogeochemists employed advanced tools like gas chromatography and mass spectrometry, the evidence became even more compelling. Traces of lignin derivatives, compounds unique to woody plants, were discovered, confirming what the initial readings hinted at. The formation may have once housed a structure built of wood. Even small details spoke volumes. The grass atop the mound grew a slightly different shade than the surrounding surrounding terrain, subtle but telling, a visible reminder that something beneath was altering the earth above it. For scientists, these chemical imprints were like fingerprints of a lost past, tiny, nearly invisible, but impossible to ignore. Each handful of soil was a chapter, a whisper from millennia ago, hinting at the presence of a massive, man-made object buried and preserved beneath layers of mud and rock. Yet, while the data fascinated researchers, it also fueled debate. Could natural processes produce such anomalies? Could ancient floods, mineral deposits, or decaying vegetation explain the elevated potassium and organic matter? The scientists acknowledged these questions, but the patterns were consistent, deliberate, and unlike any formation shaped purely by nature. The Durupinar mound had transformed from a mysterious hill into a living laboratory where science intersected with legend. And with each new chemical analysis, the mound seemed to challenge what humans thought they knew about history. Something extraordinary had occurred here, leaving a trace in the soil, a whisper of a structure that time had almost erased, but not entirely. As the team packed up for the day, a thought lingered in the crisp mountain air. What if these chemical clues were just the beginning? What if beneath the mound lay a story capable of reshaping how humanity understood its past, its myths, and the very line between legend and reality?
Not everyone was convinced. While the chemical signatures and radar scans hinted at something extraordinary, a chorus of skepticism rose from the scientific community. Geologists argued that the Durupinar formation could be explained entirely by natural processes. Synclinal basins formed when rock layers fold downward under tectonic pressure are common in geologically active regions like eastern Turkey. Erosion, mud flows, and landslides, they insisted, could easily shape the mound into a form that mimicked human design. Dr. Lawrence Collins, a veteran geologist, pointed to similar formations around the world. In places like California's Death Valley, you see striking shapes carved by wind, water, and time, he noted in Scientific American. No ancient mariners needed to leave a footprint here. To skeptics, the mound was an impressive quirk of geology, nothing more. Yet, the mound had voices on the other side of the debate. Turkish geophysicist Dr. Ahmet Özbek and his team brought technology into the argument. Ground-penetrating radar revealed symmetrical chambers, corridors stretching over 200 feet, and what looked like structural divisions that nature rarely produces. Parallel lines, right angles, these aren't random, Özbek explained, showing three-dimensional models of the interior. Nature doesn't build corridors. The soil analysis added fuel to the debate. Elevated organic matter and potassium levels suggested ancient wood, while traces of lignin, unique to plants, hinted at construction materials rather than random sediment. Critics countered that these anomalies could result from decayed vegetation, peat deposits, or even termite activity. Extraordinary claims, they warned, require extraordinary evidence, and what lay beneath Durupinar, while intriguing, was not yet definitive. Local folklore complicated matters further. In nearby villages, elders spoke of findings passed down through generations, iron rivets, chunks of limonite etched with grooves, tales of objects seemingly shaped by human hands. In 2022, a local villager uncovered a fifth-size limonite piece resembling a tool mark, sparking viral videos and renewed public fascination. Amateur archaeologists hailed it as proof, while experts remained cautious, warning that iron oxides can form unusual shapes naturally. Media coverage mirrored the divide. The History Channel's Ancient Aliens framed the site as evidence of prehistoric shipbuilding, while National Geographic's Ark or Accident leaned into geological explanations. Social media fueled the debate further. TikTok clips tagged #RealNoahsArk drew millions of views, while Reddit users flooded threads with #FakeBoat memes. This isn't just science, it's a cultural Rorschach test, observed Dr. Aisha Rahman of BBC. What you see here depends on what you want to see. For the scientists on site, the debates were both frustrating and invigorating. Each scan, each soil sample seemed to challenge preconceptions, forcing them to weigh every piece of evidence carefully. And while skeptics demanded proof, the mound continued to defy simple explanations. Whether shaped by nature or crafted by human hands, the Durupinar formation had become a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest hopes, doubts, and fascination with the unknown.
Even as disagreements raged, one thing was clear. The formation had captured global attention, turning a quiet Turkish valley into the epicenter of one of the most enduring mysteries of human history. And beneath the debates, beneath the skepticism and folklore, lay a question that refused to fade. What really rests beneath the soil, waiting to be revealed? As word of the Durupinar formation spread, the quiet valley at the foot of Mount Ararat transformed almost overnight. International media descended, eager to capture the mystery in pictures, footage, and headlines. The New York Post ran bold stories claiming that new scans supported the myth of Noah's Ark, while NDTV and Fox News highlighted the latest scientific findings. Social media exploded, with viral TikToks, YouTube videos, and Instagram Reels flooding timelines under hashtags like Real Noah's Ark and Ancient Mystery. Millions of viewers debated and commented and shared, turning the mound into a global phenomenon. Tourism followed naturally. What had once been a remote, sparsely visited valley became a destination for believers, skeptics, and curious travelers alike. Noah's Ark National Park welcomed over 120,000 visitors in 2024, a 50% increase from pre-pandemic years. Shops sold miniature Ark replicas, T-shirts proclaiming, "I survived the debate," and guides offered storytelling tours that balanced fact with folklore. Some visitors insisted on hearing the biblical version. Others were captivated by the science. For the locals, the influx brought both excitement and tension. Roads clogged with buses, fields filled with tourists, and a quiet village life transformed into a hub of global attention. The media frenzy didn't just entertain, it shaped perceptions. History Channel's Ancient Aliens framed the mound as evidence of prehistoric engineering, complete with speculative animations of antediluvian architects. National Geographic presented the other side, emphasizing geological explanations and natural processes. On social media, viral videos blended facts with dramatization, fueling debate and fascination. The site became a cultural Rorschach test. Viewers projected their beliefs, hopes, and skepticism onto the mound, interpreting its secrets through lenses of faith, science, and imagination. And even political and religious forces weighed in. The Turkish government, recognizing both the scientific significance and the tourism potential, approved limited core drilling for deeper soil analysis. Conservationists protested, fearing damage to a delicate and historic site. Local imams began leading prayers at the site, while drones hovered above, capturing every angle for documentary crews. The mound had become more than a scientific puzzle. It was a symbol of human curiosity, belief, and the limits of human belief. And yet, despite all the headlines, visitors, and debates, the Durupinar formation remained enigmatic. No one had yet confirmed what lay beneath. Was it a natural formation sculpted by eons of geological activity, or a man-made vessel preserved by time and sediment? The mound invited questions, but resisted definitive answers, reminding the world that some mysteries are meant to linger, challenging both our knowledge and our imagination. For those standing in its shadow, the mound was more than a tourist attraction. It was a connection to a story that had shaped civilizations, a tangible piece of a legend that had survived millennia, waiting to reveal its truth. And for the rest of the world, the question remained: what hidden secrets lie beneath, ready to change the way we understand history, myth, and the very limits of human belief? The deeper the scientists probed, the more the Durupinar formation revealed its secrets, and the more unnerving those secrets became. What began as routine ground-penetrating radar scans soon turned into a journey into the unknown. At depths exceeding 130 feet, the screens flickered to life with images no one could have anticipated. A labyrinth of geometric chambers, central corridors branching into side passages, and what appeared to be petrified wooden beams, fossilized into the earth itself. The structure was massive, and its layout eerily mirrored the descriptions of Noah's Ark. Lead researcher Dr. Andrew Jones could barely contain his disbelief. It looked like the skeleton of a ship, he told the New York Post, voice tight with tension. But not just any ship, one large enough to match the scale described in Genesis.
Even the skeptics on site fell silent as they examined the scans. The symmetry, the alignment of corridors, and the three distinct deck-like layers defied natural explanations. Here, the mound seemed less like a formation and more like a carefully constructed vessel, buried for millennia beneath sediment and stone. The soil samples added another chilling layer. Deep below the surface, scientists found marine sediments, shell fragments, and algae remnants, all pointing to a catastrophic flooding event long ago. Carbon dating of organic material revealed ages between 4,500 and 4,800 years, strikingly close to the timeframe of the biblical deluge. The mound was not only unusual in structure, it appeared to carry a chemical memory of waters that had once submerged it. Perhaps most unsettling was the discovery of what appeared to be a sealed chamber, its contents unknown. Thermal imaging suggested hollow spaces, while sonar hinted at metallic anomalies. Tools? Relics? Evidence of human craftsmanship? The team refused to speculate publicly, but privately the possibilities ignited imaginations. Could the mound hold remnants of a vessel preserved through time that might rewrite history? As news of the scan spread, reactions ranged from awe to fear. Religious scholars reconsidered long-dismissed interpretations of sacred texts, while creationist groups hailed the findings as divine confirmation. Social media went into a frenzy, viral videos overlaying Genesis verses on the scans, declaring the ark's secrets were finally being revealed. Yet caution prevailed among scientists. Every discovery, while extraordinary, required careful verification. The line between legend and fact was razor thin, and one wrong conclusion could undermine decades of research. Turkey's government recognized both the potential and the peril. Limited core drilling was approved to protect the site while exploring its depths. UNESCO raised concerns, warning of irreversible damage to cultural heritage. On the ground, local guides reported feeling a strange mix of reverence and fear as visitors flocked to witness a formation that had transformed from hill to legend to potentially monumental discovery. The Durupinar mound, silent for millennia, had begun to speak, and what it seemed to say was both thrilling and terrifying. If the scans were accurate, humanity was facing a possibility that stretched imagination, science, and faith. A relic from a drowned world, a vessel whose story had been passed down through generations waiting beneath the soil for the moment it could be understood. And in that possibility lay a haunting question. Are we ready to confront what history has buried? And could uncovering it reshape not only our past, but our perception of human destiny? As the sun dips behind Mount Ararat, casting long shadows over the Durupinar Valley, the mound stands silent, but it is far from lifeless. Over decades, it has drawn dreamers, skeptics, scientists, and believers alike, each leaving with questions that are as compelling as the answers they seek. Even with ground-penetrating radar, soil chemistry, and resistivity scans, the full story remains elusive. What lies beneath the mound is still mostly hidden, its secrets preserved by time, sediment, and perhaps something beyond human understanding. The site has become a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest desires. For some, it validates millennia of biblical stories, connecting legend to something tangible, measurable, and in some ways, terrifying. For others, it is a natural wonder, a testament to Earth's ability to shape incredible forms without a single human hand. And for the world at large, it is a reminder that some mysteries refuse to be fully solved, leaving us to wonder, imagine, and debate endlessly. Local communities have embraced the mound as both a source of pride and a magnet for curiosity. Tourism, media coverage, and academic interest have transformed quiet villages into a hub of global fascination. Yet even amid this bustle, the Durupinar Formation resists simplification. Each new sample, each fresh scan, adds complexity rather than clarity. The mound challenges assumptions about time, history, and the line between myth and reality. Historians, theologians, and archaeologists continue to weigh in. Some suggest that even if the formation is man-made, its significance may lie more in what it represents than in physical proof. It stands as a symbol of human hope, resilience, and the desire to connect stories across generations. For others, it is a natural wonder, a testament to Earth's ability to shape incredible forms without a single human hand. And for the world at large, it is a reminder that some mysteries refuse to be fully solved, leaving us to wonder, imagine, and debate endlessly. A question lingers that no measurement can answer. What truly lies beneath the Earth? Could future technology unveil chambers, relics, or structures that finally settle the debate? Or will the Durupinar Formation remain a tantalizing riddle, forever teasing humanity with glimpses of a past we cannot fully comprehend? The mound's story, like the ark it is said to resemble, is a vessel for imagination and inquiry. It carries echoes of floods and civilizations long vanished, whispers of human curiosity, and the eternal tension between myth and reality. Whether it is ultimately natural or man-made, scientific or legendary, the Durupinar Formation will continue to captivate, challenge, and inspire generations to come. For those who stand in its shadow, the message is clear. Some mysteries are meant to be pursued, even if they cannot be completely solved. They remind us that the world is larger, stranger, and far more wondrous than we often imagine. And as humanity digs, measures, scans, and wonders, one question remains at the heart of it all. What secrets will the Earth finally reveal? And are we ready to see them?
But as researchers step away from the valley, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The story of Durupinar is no longer just about a strange mound in the mountains. It has become a gateway, a threshold into a deeper investigation of humanity's past. And that gateway is beginning to widen. In recent years, quiet whispers have emerged in scientific circles. New technologies long considered experimental, deep-phase tomography, atomic density imaging, and ultra-low frequency seismic mapping, are now precise enough to read the Earth like a book. These tools have begun revealing patterns beneath the surface that defy simple explanation. Linear voids where none should exist. Repeating geometric signatures buried beneath layers of sediment. Straight edges in a world where geology prefers the chaotic and irregular. None of it is definitive. All of it is provocative. Each discovery adds heat to a question that grows harder to ignore. Is the mound merely a geological oddity, or the remnant of something deliberately crafted, something ancient, something forgotten? The scientists who refuse to speculate publicly admit, in private, that the formations are highly anomalous. But mystery does not wait for consensus, and the world has already begun marching towards its own interpretations. Conspiracy theorists argue that governments know more than they reveal. Believers claim prophecy is unfolding. Skeptics demand more data, more drilling, more proof. Meanwhile, the valley remains unmoved, silent, unchanging, watching humanity scramble for answers. And yet, beneath that silence, something new is awakening. Teams planning future expeditions are proposing far more ambitious methods. Algorithms based on cosmic ray muon imaging, the same technology used to scan the Great Pyramid, are being adapted to peer beneath the mound without disturbing a single grain of earth. If approved, these scans could reveal the internal architecture of Durupinar in unprecedented detail. The implications are staggering. What if the mound contains chambers? What if those chambers contain artifacts? And what if those artifacts don't just challenge the story of the Ark, but rewrite the history of ancient civilizations entirely? The idea is almost too big to imagine. Yet, the possibility hangs in the air like static before a storm. For the villagers who walk the narrow paths near the formation, the mound is no longer just part of the landscape. It is a presence, a quiet giant holding its secrets close. Some elders claim the land remembers more than it reveals. Others say the Earth gives up its mysteries only when it decides humanity is ready, not sooner. Maybe they're right. What is certain is this: the closer researchers get to uncovering the truth, the more the story expands. Durupinar is no longer a single mystery, but a doorway into dozens more. Stories of ancient floods, shifting continents, lost cultures, and forgotten technologies. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable idea that our understanding of the past is incomplete, and always has been. Perhaps the ultimate revelation won't be what lies beneath the mound,
but what the search itself awakens within us. And as the world turns its eyes back towards Mount Ararat, one final unsettling question emerges, one that nobody can yet answer. If the truth is finally uncovered, will it satisfy humanity's curiosity, or ignite something far more powerful? As the investigations grow bolder, one undeniable pattern emerges. The deeper experts look into the Durupinar formation, the more the past begins to stir. Not in a literal sense, but in a way that feels almost alive, as if history itself is shifting beneath the weight of new questions. Because beneath the soil, beyond the anomalies and rumors, there is something far more profound at play. The possibility that humanity has forgotten entire chapters of its own story. Archaeologists have long warned that the ancient world was not as simple as textbooks once claimed. Civilizations rose and vanished thousands of years before the pyramids. Legends of great floods appear in over 200 cultures across the planet. And in nearly every version of the story, humanity survives because someone builds a vessel. Massive, mysterious, and unlike anything the world had seen. Durupinar may be just one piece of that global puzzle, but it is a piece that refuses to fit cleanly. It contradicts assumptions, it challenges timelines, it defies easy explanations. And perhaps that is why it captivates so fiercely. With every scan, every soil core, every geological cross-section, scientists find themselves confronting the same uncomfortable idea. The truth might be stranger than either the skeptics or the believers expected. Some researchers suggest that even if the formation is not the Ark, it may represent a human structure from a civilization older than known history, one that was erased by catastrophe, remembered only through myth. Others argue that the anomalies could indicate advanced engineering techniques far beyond what early societies were thought capable of. And then there are those who go further, quietly proposing that the site might be the work of a forgotten culture whose technologies have yet to be rediscovered. But for now, these theories live in whispers, in cautious academic papers, in late-night discussions held far from cameras and microphones. As more nations express interest in exploring the region, a new tension forms, part scientific, part political. Who will control the narrative if something extraordinary is discovered? Who decides what the world is allowed to know? Who gets to write the next chapter of this ancient story? The answers to these questions may prove as complex as the mound itself. Yet, despite the global interest, despite the looming technological breakthroughs, despite the whispers of ancient civilizations and forgotten disasters, the Durupinar formation remains still, silent, watching, enduring. It does not rush to reveal itself. It does not bend to human curiosity. It simply waits, patient, ancient, and unchanged. For those who climb its slopes and feel the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions pressing against our thoughts, the realization is almost overwhelming. Some truths are buried not because they are lost, but because the world is not ready to face them. And as humanity edges closer to the brink of discovery, one final possibility lingers in the air, subtle but powerful. What if uncovering the truth at Durupinar does more than solve a mystery? What if it forces us to redefine who we are, where we came from, and what we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization? The past is calling from beneath the stones, and the echo is growing louder.